Teammate with a difficult loss on Dragonshire 25 minutes into the game now gets to choose if they want Battleground choice or if they want first pick. Given the same choice after losing game number 1 to Gale Force Esports, they chose Battleground pick. What do you think is going to happen here?
Oh, goodness. What do I want to see or what do I think is going to happen? Because now we have a different priority. Like, all of North America is obviously shifting the mentality, what is right and wrong. So I'm going to say BOE just because that's, you know, kind of been the staple in the for the history of the teams.
So you think they'll choose Battleground?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. So we'll see if that's the case. We are ready to check that out. They are going to choose Battleground, so this is quite a deviation from part 1, but going to Braxis.
Got to mix something up. Teammate struggling against Gale Force and now Tempo Storm. You know, you gotta shake it up. Go for the map pick. Come out with the, you know, the top tier strategy. Whether or not they bust out the Zag like GFE, I don't think so, but maybe. Yoda's been known for some crazy heroes from here and there.
That is a dope song.
I'm
loving it.
I just, every time I hear it, I know it's distracting with how excited I get.
I know, right? And now we get some good old-fashioned StarCraft music. Oh yeah!
I have nothing nice to say about the game. I'm like the only dude
How
from Heroes
dare
that just
you
didn't
get off
decide to
this
love
desk.
StarCraft before this. I'm sorry. I really am like one of the only. It's
I don't know
awkward.
what to do with him.
Save me. Tempo Storm. What do they want to rid of here? Is it the Zarya? Makes more sense on Braxis. They actually hover that first ban task because they want the Zarya is going to be my expectation. Purely based on Zarya has been the highest priority on this map than any other map in the game. Get rid of the mouth. So is it the Zarya? I mean, you know, I'm obviously got to be wrong. Did they expect the Zarya ban and now do they want it? Or are they instead going to move into... They go for it. All right. Not totally crazy. I know some things.
I believe in you. Okay, that's what I wanted to see. Instant Dahaka and Falstad.
Things are starting to make sense. The globals, you know, the solo lanes, everything is adding up here. So now Tempo Storm has the option to commit a lot into their 4 because now they are facing a possible 2-3 split with a double global pressure up in the northern lane, which leads to an ETC Gul'dan. Gul'dan, probably the proper response if you want a dominant 4-man. Just, you know, throw out a couple fell, bam, wave's dead. ETC, though, he's coming out. With the Zarya, ETC Zarya, the pseudo-supporting, cross-supporting, was something that was very highly kind of spoke about for a long period of time after Zarya's release.
Both ETC and Gul'dan so far in NA HGC not doing hot. ETC 0 and 4, Gul'dan 1 out of 5, but in this case, Gul'dan makes sense. Braxis holdout makes sense. ETC, we'll see.
We'll see. Yeah, I'm still iffy on where he really ends up. I do like, I'm glad that we get to see it here because I think this is one of the better areas. It's not going to be like, oh, you know, we'll just pick it anywhere. So I like it.
This is the same. ETC for me continues to be a mystery for Tempo Storm and Gale Force. We have seen a lot of mid-ETC bans. Now ETC in a second rotation from Tempo Storm.
I do think that's a lot on Zarya, though. I really do think that the pairing that brings is a lot to Tempo Storm because, oh man, sickness, death. Having that pseudo-supporting.
I thought you were laughing.
I just inhaled and then just like died. I don't know what happened. It's just weird things going on. So with that, the pseudo-supporting is going to help for a lot of the nerf that happened onto ETC, and then he can kind of self-sustain on his own. I think that enabled the pick of ETC significantly more. Varian banned out. Looking at you, Justings, once more.
Yeah. Does that mean Justing will pick Johanna here?
I think, yes, no.
Arthas.
In turn, it won't. It makes sense to not commit to the fort. Yeah, they're going quick. We got the Lucio down there, but it makes sense. Gul'dan, you don't want Lucio as your support. You can, but it's like, it's not terrible, but it doesn't feel good. Not until the very later parts of the game, or if you go into a double support composition. There is no solo yet for Tempo Storm. They've committed to their 4, and it's looking good. Mouth and Lucio are both gone, so what do? Ariel is the first thought in the support, but then what do you get when it comes to your top? What do you match the Dahaka with? The Dahaka Falstad specifically, like a Ragnaros, dare I say? He's, you know, he hasn't really shown up too frequently. What else could you put there?
I'm looking.
I'm thinking.
Wondering.
I feel like it's just going to be a placeholder because it's going to get pressured out so heavily by the 2v1.
Yeah.
That they would just rather kind of just put somebody up there to be like, here, soak my experience. We'll do work down below.
I think maybe Ragnaros is going to be... Oh, what?
All right. What?
It's fight time!
No. What just happened?
I don't know.
Okay, the Zeratil's not that weird, but the
Yeah.
Brightwing specifically, she at least has a secondary shielder to be able to help her. It's a global to match their globals a bit. Zeratil Brightwing has a lot of kill potential, so they're all-inning on killing Falset and Li Ming. But Gul'dan just has no help. He's a lone ranger. He better be able to...
good luck life tapping. In fact, it's better if you just do not life tap.
It's just don't cast spells. I mean, he has to, but it's going to be focusing on, you know, reviving off the minions on his own. His health pool is now all his own responsibility, pretty much. So then the Brightwing Zeratil just purely to kill the Falstad and purely to kill the Li Ming.
Who sits top lane? Zeratil? Who sits there?
Oh,
Are they going to switch it and try for a 4-man top just to mess with Team 8?
I think you would throw... You can't neglect your Brightwing. She would have to commit in the 4s.
Yeah.
You put Zeratil probably. And you try and match the rotation of whatever their global is in the 2 versus 1. Actually, that's... Oh, I just might have figured it out. Maybe not. So it hurts on the Gul'dan argument. The only reason I don't see you moving Brightwing out of the 4 is because Gul'dan needs any healing he can to be better. But if Zarya is enough with the ETC, that trio is very impactful on its own. You run Zeratil Brightwing together. Zeratil has a little bit of kill combo. Brightwing is very good anti-siege.
Yeah.
And then you have kill potential in the mid to late game. So it stops the 2v1 pressure that the Dahaka Falstad can actually implement, while then still allowing you to rotate out whenever Falstad flies.
All right.
But this is just theory craft. Like that's the only argument I can really see.
Well, the game is ready, so we can just see for ourselves how this is going to go. Brightwing Zeratil for Tempo Storm. We're ready for game number 2.
Man, it's been a long while.
Too long.
Not since Brightwing. You know, it's fine that she's fallen out. It's more the Zeratil Brightwing. Dude, just let it go, you know?
let it go.
Just be like the Snow Princess.
You're supposed to be a support main, and yet you are not behind a Brightwing.
I was behind Brightwing when her passive was activatable and she had a mini Tranquility. Since then, you know, it's been a downhill struggle for Brightwing.
Today is the day where she proves you wrong.
She's got a lot of dive follow up here, and having the Zarya I think is going to be huge. But it's more the laning that I'm concerned. So it's a Zarya ETC to stop it, and instead it's a trio of Gul'dan Zeratil. Zeratil can decide where everybody wants to move and then match them, and Brightwing can teleport out.
There's a lot of question about what build Gul'dan was going to build into. Ended up picking Pursuit of Flame. There's still question about what Brightwing wants to build into. There are lots of options if she wants to do full phase shift build.
Gul'dan, or excuse me, not Gul'dan, but Dahaka caught out. Glaurung here is going down, no way out. First blood over to Tempo Storm. Lack of respect of how many people are on the map, and that is going to be the kill here. So, let's talk about Glaurung on Dahaka. He's expanded his hero pool from what we knew long time ago, added some new. Medivh, Dahaka, Tracer are some of those. But whenever he's been on the, at least in part 2, when he's been on Dahaka, him getting caught out is not anything new. He very much was almost 3 to 4 times in the first performance there for Team 8, and I thought, honestly, I felt like a little bit of tilt when we saw them playing against Gale Force Esports, but here, this early on, after one very close game, I guess I just didn't expect to see seeing him get caught out this early.
Honestly, I would have been tilted by the point that Team 8 got to Braxis versus Gale Force. That composition was aggravating beyond a doubt to play against.
This is a Gaur dream. So a 2 versus 2 matchup.
But Brightwing did take Hyper Shift, so I think the idea is that it's a 2 lane no matter what, and then wherever Brightwing needs to show up, she can be there because she's healing people up and has that phase shift up more often.
It's kind of the, you have a double global, well, so do we. By using Zeratul as being the, you don't know where he is at all times, that is, in theory, half of what it takes to be a global.
Yeah.
And then Brightwing truly is, but they also have kill combo together.
But holding on to a point is going to be hard, even with having Zarya here.
I mean, that, yeah, hard is probably going to be a bit of an understatement, really. Tempo Storm will struggle in that department, and we, historically, that means they're going to have a bad time. So Brightwing goes top, Falstead nopes right on bottom, completely countering what Tempo Storm was looking to make happen, at least in this first part.
Yeah, Brightwing's heading right back down, has to move the old-fashioned way, just a nice jog to the bottom lane. And that gives some time for teammate to siege here in the bottom. Paddle's trying to soak as many of the skill shots from Yoda as he can away from the towers. Dahaka will start to step on the point.
Got him. So is Brightwing TP come in? Vorpal's not used. Now it should be. There it is. The shielding. Prismat's gonna be going down here. The flank. That is the counter. Zeratul's so good into killing Falstead. Glaurung, though, comes in, misses the drag. June trying to retreat. Justin falls, and Brightwing with the pixie dust. Tempo Storm. Did you just jump?
I did.
She just jumped so high.
That face melt.
Oh my goodness.
June was like, why?
Well, it kept June alive with the polymorph.
It did.
He's feeling comfortable.
And with
Gilly,
so many kills.
I've never seen somebody so attached to a character that when they almost died in a competitive match, they were like, purely on the misplay of an ally.
Don't touch my Brightwing, man. Where it started out looking scary, the rotation from Psalm and the follow-up, complete commitment from Tempo Storm netted them a ton of kills. 4 kills this early in the game, plus 100% Zerg Rush.
Yeah, that's it's just going to keep falling apart here. Beautiful timed knockback. Glaurung's just out of range to be able to get that drag. Landing. Psalm not going to be able to hit the W, though. Goes in, gets a bit of poke. 7's going to be picked up. The Zerg Rush looking at the fort. Beating up the base here of Team 8. And with the 7 picked up, now Psalm's kill potential onto Li Ming and onto Falstead significantly higher.
I cannot believe how fast this game has jumped forward for Tempo Storm.
I mean, let's be honest here. If 4 people die at the same time, not only for experience, but then also allow your opponents to get a Zerg Rush that debatably you were losing all the lanes for some time, like that is about, you cannot draw a worst situation than that. Like that is single-handedly like the how do we lose this game type deal, and you're like, well, this is about the only way this can get bad. They did exactly that. But Tempo Storm, I feel like it was more of an outplay than it was like teammate not respecting the composition of tempo.
Yeah, it was a fantastic play. The synergy all the way through, and then being able to catch teammate, trying to keep their teammate alive. It's just that Tempo Storm came out on top in that fight, and that netted a 2-level lead at 5 minutes into the game. Towers taken out bottom lane too. With 1 fight, Tempo Storm now commands this game.
But how long does it last? You know, because if we were to, it will last long now that I think about how close they are to 10, but if we were to take a step back and say that we gave Tempo Storm all of these things, and they were able to get this type of advantage, but it wasn't around a power spike as big as 10 that's going to happen around the next map objective, teammate actually, if the laning phase could be extended a smidge longer without, again, the fear of 10, I think they would be able to turn the game back purely on the control that they had in those laning early on. It just is... It's one of those things where you're like, welcome to Braxis holdout. You know, if you mess up that hard that early on and give that kind of power spike, you're going to have a bad time.
Ten almost online for Tempo Storm. We'll see if they want Stage Dive to help out with the global game, or if Mosh Pit will be the choice.
I want to see that Mosh.
I wonder if it'll be Stage Dive Emerald Wind with a Brightwing Bomb.
The Brightwing Bomb?
Yeah,
Maybe.
there's 1/2.
No way. Nah, Blink Heal. So Stage Dive to match a global. So it's just now providing 2 true globals to be able to match the Dahaka and the Falstad, and then having Brightwing ETC, but then Zeratul is that pseudo.
There's no Malfurion to root off of stage dive, but there are still some other things to be aware of for Fury.
Wow, they're going for the boss here. Boss play timing with the map objective. You want to capture one, which is going to be Brightwing's job. Zeratul then should look to link over, or at least not capture.
Jeez.
You want to time this with the Zerg Rush. There's no reason not to put them together.
The timing of being on top of the beacons and the boss.
Don't cap.
Some.
Please don't cap.
Oh
Please
no,
don't cap.
they're
Not like
capping.
this. Is this going to be time perfect? I actually don't memorize the timings perfectly, but I know the Zerg Rush is so slow.
It's not even.
You want them pressuring at perfect timing even if they're on opposite lanes.
Void Prison. Here come the rest of the team. Stage dive on top. Expulsion Zone says your stage dive's not even needed, Fury.
Nope. They timed it perfectly, actually. It's going to be moving with the Zerg Rush on the bottom at the exact time, so, you know, I thought for a moment maybe it'd be smarter for Tempo Storm to hold off, but they have these timings far better than myself. I mean, what do you say other than one misplay very early on and Tempo Storm absolutely capitalizing on every advantage they get. This is something that Tempo Storm has not done for a very long time. To be a team that's just a bully.
This dominant.
When they have an upper hand.
Yeah.
They just kind of played the game. And things sometimes would work, sometimes they wouldn't, but very rarely did it seem as merciless.
Making.
Yeah, it just, I absolutely love to see it from them.
Me too.
It makes me very hopeful for the North American scene that this is your #1 representative, at least so far.
Woo! Lucio's already gone. Expulsion Zone will net an Arthas kill to boot. No heroic abilities. Tempo Storm wailing away at this core.
It's not going to be over just yet.
Yeah.
But it's pretty close, especially if Prismaticum goes down 53, 40%. Everybody's going to move out. No heroics still here. That is going to be it. Tempo Storm taking game #2 on Braxis holdout in under 9 minutes, purely off of one early engagement one.
One fight, and Tempo Storm walk away with a victory in game #2 before heroics for teammate. They didn't even get the chance to like pick troll heroics because they knew the game was over.
It's very well done. You know, Tempo just, I love to see that aggression from them. I hope it continues. Like I brought up how passive it seems like a lot of teams are without the map objective. On Dragonshire, it seems like they were forcing. There, they were looking to force everywhere on the map with their advantage. Hopefully that's going to carry over to game #3. Team 8, game 1 was very close and hopeful. Game 2 was just one major misplay. So you gotta, those are the games where you go, all right, we goofed.
Shake it off.
And you let it go. It's just, sorry, boys. Hands off the keyboard type moment. It's all right. We'll get past this.
I wonder again what they're going to go for. Battleground choice? That's what's happened now.
It looks like it'll probably be the same.
Right.
I genuinely feel like most of the time if you're a weaker team than your opponent and you think you are, you will go for map pick. Purely based on the fact that you will take, I understand this map and the timings and everything else so much more that I can beat you with the meta of this map than I am worried about first pick, first ban.
Frustrating losses on Braxis holdout now twice for teammate, both versus Tempo Storm and Gale Force Esports. We're taking a break. When we come back, we'll see if Tempo Storm closes it out.
The demon Asmodan had his ultimate victory within reach, until the opposing heroes dealt him a devastating defeat. Asmodan went back to the drawing board and rediscovered his love of the game. The Lord of Sin became the Lord of the Slam.
This is my house. Let's see if you've got game. There it is. Dude, welcome to my jam.
I was once a far strider. I swore an oath to defend Silvermoon and its people to my dying breath. It was not enough. My homeland still burned. But those days are long past. And history will not repeat itself. I am Sylvanas Windrunner, Queen of the Forsaken. And if you will not serve me in this life, then you will do so in the next.
Fresh meat.
Teammate lost game number 1, which was Tempo Storm's Battleground pick. Teammate then chose to go to Braxis Holdout. Tempo Storm defeated them there before Teammate even got heroic abilities. Now, you posited that Teammate will pick the Battleground choice, take him to where? Infernal Shrines?
I mean, just wherever they feel comfortable.
Let's see what they decided to do. We're gonna check out the Battleground pool once again. So this is exactly the same pattern that Teammate had versus Gale Force Esports. They picked the first map, or Gale Force picked the first map, but in losing, they picked to have Battleground choice, and then upon losing the second game, they chose first pick. So switching it up again, Tempo Storm's gonna pick Towers of Doom.
Towers of Doom is, you know, a good map for Tempo, so I'm not surprised to see them go in that direction. They seem to have a significantly dominant, I guess, understanding of how to use globals. They really understand, you know, how to play the macro game far better than it feels like they ever did before. And beyond anything else, Tempo Storm, the one thing you can take from Tempo Storm's performance this week is that they have, for the first time, I would say, ever, in my opinion, learned how to force when they have a lead. And that is the one criticism I've had for them for a long time. You know, why it's hard to put faith, in my opinion, behind this group of players, because they're good at the video game and they can get ahead, but internationally, whenever they get a lead, they just go, well, hopefully they don't do anything to try and come back. And now Tempo Storm is just going, what if we don't give them a chance?
Yeah, what if they're not even allowed to do that? Dread, why would Teammate not pick Battlefield of Eternity?
I don't have that thought process, honestly. I don't know exactly why they wouldn't.
Timbo, that is the one battleground where they have such a bad record.
Yeah.
They picked Braxis.
I don't know. It's more of like, we think we're good on Braxis more than it is Tempo being weak on BOE. Is, you know, that's the only thing I can really come up with here. Dahaka's still picked up for Glorong.
With a ban on Falstad 2, Teammates controlling
relating to what we saw from Gale Force Esports versus Teammate and the trends that we saw out of Teammate, in Game 1, Glorong played Medivh. In Game 2 and 3, Glorong played Dahaka. Correct?
Yes.
Game 1?
Game 3 was Dahaka, but Game 2 was Sonya on Infernal Shrines.
Well, then I suck. I was going to say, we see another trend where he sticks to a comfort on one, and then back the later 2 games, moving on to the Dahaka. There was only one moment of him getting caught out, though, in the last game.
Yeah,
Mouth
right at the
Arthas.
beginning.
Not nearly as bad as the first showing.
I'll tell you what, Tempo Storm seems terrifying if they have 2 solid Arthas players.
He's a bunny. I'm a rabbit.
Oh, no.
The tweet will never go away, dude.
I need that tweet to go away.
Oh, no, I loved it.
You keep throwing it at me.
All right, so the Mouth Arthas, very powerful rotation. We've seen what June can do when he gets his hands on that scary, scary druid. where does Team 8 go? They've got the global advantage. Are they worried about picking up the Lucio, or are they going to go into a different direction? Zarya is still up. Zarya to Haka has been something that people have been leaning to a bit.
Twice now, Justin has not had the full gamut of warriors at his potential.
Lucio.
I wondered if maybe they would decide to give him the exact pick he wants, but instead, again, such a flexible player, feeling like they can leave that to later, even if Tempo Storm bans a warrior here.
That is really interesting, you know? Do we see the ETC ban just dropped? Just being like, Justin, we're done with you? I want to know, historically, any team that Glorong is on, you focus Glorong. This is the first time it's been a team that looks at a team that Glorong is on to try and dismantle and goes to the warrior. But I wouldn't put Justin as a weak frontline. I think that's more than anything, they view him as the carry.
They're looking at Varian again.
They view him as the carry.
Well, yeah.
They're like, it's not about your weak hero pool, it's about your carry.
Look to the series at Western Clash between Tempo and Teammate. I see exactly why.
Yeah, I agree. It's just strange to see a general consensus between the top 3 teams, or at least the top 2 to take on Team 8. And on the Zarya, where does Tempo Storm want to move now? Somewhere into the back, Greymane, Arthas, and the Abby.
Oh.
That is about as terrifying as it gets for an Abathur composition. My goodness.
You have Arthas clones, potentially Greymane clones. Greymane is such a good clone target.
Greymane clones with a Arthas slowing everybody down is just, oh my goodness. You cannot have a better situation if you're an Abathur player. Ooh. Somebody, you have to probably expect this, though. Teammate had to have known that they were probably going to move in the direction. Even No Tomorrow banning out the Abathur. Abathur is a thing in North America now on Towers of Doom. Drawn from Europe. Team Dignitas played so much of that at the Western Clash on this map. So we're learning, we're picking up, and then we get the Valera as the counter response here to the Murden Zeratul rotation.
Wowzers.
Wowzers.
Zeratul Dahaka, which means Prismaticism, I believe, will be playing Dahaka. Over on the other side, Valera, that's going to be Som. Caterpillar playing Greymane? Probably, yeah. Then Koth and Abathur. What are you thinking?
If this was Braxis holdout or another map where you could attack the core, it would be over pretty quickly. That's what I think when looking at the draft that Tempo Storm has managed to get. They have, the only one I question is Valera, and I don't even hate it as a follow-up to all the other tools as a soft answer to Zeratul. I do think it's kind of a skill matchup to where we've seen, for instance, Glorong play Valera into Zeratul's and really mess them up. I expect Som to be equally, versed in that series.
Plus, I mean, it's really one of 2 options, apparently, according to Caterpillar, as to what Som can play.
Yeah,
you know, he played Zeratul last game.
No, he can't really play that. He can only he's a 2-trick, right? He's just got Valera and he's got KT. That's it.
That's just it.
Cattle's words.
Valera versus Zeratul. The battle of stealthies will commence. Does Tempo Storm have it in them to just close it out right here?
I think so. They have an Arthas Abathur Greymane composition on Towers of Doom. You know, and Mouth. That's the one thing. It's typically you sacrifice somewhere, and they really kind of just did it.
No.
They've got a little bit of everything.
Teammate got, you would argue, everything they wanted, except maybe which warrior they wanted.
But that's all it seems like it's taking to kind of weaken Teammate.
Well, let's get into it. Let's not waste any more time. Let's head into game number 3 between Tempo Storm and Team 8. We're going to Towers of Doom.
Just absolute panic in my ear. Absolute panic in my ear. Oh, man.
Anytime you hear an oh, no. It's generally...
Yeah, we have a little guy who speaks to us once in a while when we talk about a video game, and he was not happy about what was happening there. In case you're wondering. Okay, so what else when looking at the compositions? Lucio was higher value. You know, we see a Murden with the Haka. I talked about how much I enjoy Murden. With Zeratul especially, anytime you can get somebody to dive with the Zeratul to provide a double threat is going to be able to benefit them. But it's whether or not they can apply enough pressure, honestly, just to June. And I have faith in June, honestly, to get those kind of outplays. He's the most impressive support in North America by a mile. In my opinion, nobody is anywhere near this guy's skill level.
I agree. He and some of the other members of Tempo Storm are hiding out, looking for a party.
It's my party. Oh, they get the bait. He's just a lone wolf up here. Sad
Nobody
little
else
wolf.
is around.
The beauty of having Abathur to be able to get side soak. So, teammate didn't commit to a free front wall, even into an Abathur comp. Really uncommon. And Tempo Storm's winning when it comes to pressure. This is a minute in, and things are not going how you would like if you're playing on teammate right now into an Abathur composition. That just, I know it doesn't mean much now, but you tend, genuinely, when you can see things like this and things you can expect to see with a specific type of draft and they don't work out that way, it usually means that things are only going to get worse with time. It's not always the case. Front wall for front wall, but again, teammates should be trying to push the envelope.
And the very first altar phase might be a place to do so. Teammate knowing that with an Abathur composition, you are generally going to have to give up a little bit in the early game. So far, teammate haven't been able to figure out where Tempo Storm has to do that, but it might be that Tempo Storm can only get one of the altars.
Both of the sappers are going to be moving in. The Haka will look for the top channel. 3 members of Team 8 going to body block over that top left. Zeratul's looking to stop the gray main on bottom. So that's going to be the 1v1. Team 8 getting the first 4 shots onto the core. 2 versus 1, depending on what you count that hat as. All the members of Team 8 moving in. No eyes in the dark, and Cattle makes it out.
He makes it out. Howling Boss will deny Prismaticism, who is on that Dahaka. But June is starting to move down. Now Malfurion's here. That will help, but not in time. Teammate walks away with 2 of the 3 altars from this first phase.
If Tempo had had anybody else channel, that would have been a perfect situation. You never want to leave your support as the last one to channel, especially when it's a Malfurion. And that's purely based on the fact that Cattle obviously needed heals. Anytime you can get those cross-healing for your team, but Malfurion post 4 with Elune's Grace is the best, one of the best delays in the game. So not having him make that rotation hurts Tempo. I mean, they still could have ended up losing it, maybe losing more, but you know, at this point with Tempo Storm slowly upgrading their game,
they probably expected to lose that anyway, having Abathur, and being really happy with the front wall that they did get. Yes, it would be great. Moonfire is a super low cooldown, and then having Elune's Grace to give increased range to that so we can do it safely, but this would be another great way to get back at things. It is Justing. He's Muradin. He'll get back in time. Valera build is different than what we have come to expect. No combat readiness. Instead, the piano build with the 2 different poisons.
that is Psalm specific though, right? Psalm was the first to kind of bust that out, and it seems like he's sticking to his guns after the rest of the world has kind of said, we feel like this is going to be the most optimal way to build the Valera. Yeah,
so it's a Valera adding some utility to the team comp. It's a slow with wound poison, and then as well, or the crippling poison, and then wound poison to decrease the healing output on a target for a few seconds.
These sappers are going to pressure out for both sides. Teammates questioning if they can move up and zone off just the 2 members, but don't know if they have it here, especially with Cleanse Up. Speaking of, Cattle's going to need it in a moment. The body block from June. Oh, the root doesn't even need it.
Oh, the slow. There were no minions there to draw the ire of the fort, so that'll be a 1-for-1 so far. Fury trying to keep the slow going.
Prismat has burrowed. He's looking for June. The Sapper is trying to put out the damage. Saw him by himself.
Valera's channeled mid.
Lyra got it.
And getting Dahaka down here, this is such a win for Abathur to
All
soak.
they have to do is buy time,
Yeah.
but June's not in a position to get that interrupt.
Ooh,
Oh, the hat dash missed!
So close to getting the stab.
It would have hit if it wasn't for Valeera getting the dash and just a miscommunication. Oh, that feels bad. Abathur would have gotten so much more value because then